Listen, I have been the head curator of the Galactic Preservation Institute for 300 cycles now. 300 cycles. In that time, I have dealt with every imaginable catastrophe. Containment breaches. Dimensional rifts. That one time a Vorax devourer managed to quantum tunnel through 6 layers of reality, because someone forgot to recalibrate the phase lock array. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day a human walked into my facility and asked which of our apex predators she could pet.my name is Krell. No fancy titles, no complicated designations. Just Krell. I am what your species would call a reptilian, though that description does us a disservice. My scales shimmer with neural bioluminescence that reflects my emotional state, which means everyone in the facility knew I was having a terrible day the moment that human transport ship docked at our station. The Galactic Preservation Institute is not a zoo. Let me be absolutely clear about this. We are a conservation facility dedicated to maintaining populations of the galaxy's most dangerous organisms in controlled environments. The kind of creatures that make entire star systems evacuate when they escape. The kind of things that have extinction-level threat ratings. We house 47 species behind quantum barriers that could, individually, wipe out civilization as we know it, and this human wanted to pet them. Her name was Victoria Moss. Average height for a human, which meant she barely came up to my mid-thorax. Brown hair pulled back in what I later learned was called a ponytail. Wearing what appeared to be recreational clothing, completely inappropriate for a facility tour. Blue fabric pants. A shirt with text on it that read, "I survived the Australian outback, and all I got was this lousy shirt and 12 new scars." I should have known right then. The warning signs were all there, glowing like a supernova. But did I listen? No. Because I am a professional, and professionals do not discriminate based on species stereotypes, even when those stereotypes are apparently 100% accurate. "Welcome to the Galactic Preservation Institute," I said, my translator converting my clicks and hisses into standard galactic. "I am Curator Krell. You must be the human representative we were told to expect." Victoria smiled. Humans smile by baring their teeth, which is universally recognized as a threat display across 68% of known intelligent species. She did not seem aware of this. Or perhaps she was, and simply did not care. "That's me," she said, far too enthusiastically. "I'm with the Terran Xenobiological Research Division. We're trying to establish cultural exchange programs with other species conservation efforts. Learn from each other. Share techniques. That sort of thing. Reasonable enough. Sensible, even." I relaxed slightly, my scales shifting from alarmed orange to cautious yellow. "Of course. We are always happy to collaborate with other preservation-minded institutions. Let me show you our observation decks. You will find our containment systems quite impressive." I led her through the main corridor. The Institute is a marvel of engineering, if I may say so myself. Built into an asteroid that we hollowed out and restructured over the course of 2 decades. The quantum barriers are state-of-the-art, capable of containing threats from this dimension and several others. Each enclosure is a perfect recreation of the creature's native environment, maintained by AI systems that monitor everything from atmospheric composition to gravitational fluctuations. We stopped at the first observation deck. Below us, separated by 6 feet of reinforced transparent aluminum and 3 overlapping quantum fields, was a Drakken Mauler. "This," I said with no small amount of pride, "is specimen 003. A fully mature Drakken Mauler from the scorched wastes of Terminus 7. Notice the armored plating, the razor-sharp claws, the triple row of fangs designed to shear through starship hull plating. This creature has an estimated bite force of 20,000 pounds per square inch. Its venom can liquefy internal organs in under 30 seconds. There are only 12 of these left in existence." Victoria pressed her face against the observation window. "Oh my gosh. Look at its little face. Those eyes. Is it a mammal? It has fur. It has heat-resistant bristles that protect it from the volcanic environment of its homeworld," I corrected. "And I would hardly describe anything about a Drakken Mauler as little. That specimen weighs 4 tons. But can I pet it?" I stared at her. My scales flickered through confusion purple, disbelief grey, and settled on "Are you insane?" crimson. What? No. Absolutely not. Did you not hear anything I just said? 20,000 pounds of bite force. Venom. Extinction-level threat rating. Right. But theoretically. If we had proper safety equipment. Could I pet it? There is no theoretical scenario in which a human, or any carbon-based life form, should attempt physical contact with a Drakken Mauler. So you're saying there's a chance? I was beginning to understand why the Galactic Council had labeled humans as a Class 7 unpredictable species. We moved to the next enclosure. This is a void serpent. Native to the space between dimensions. It exists partially out of phase with our reality. Observe how it seems to flicker in and out of visibility. This organism feeds on quantum particles, and can extend tendrils through solid matter. Completely intangible when it chooses to be. Absolutely untouchable by conventional means. What about unconventional means? Miss Moss, Victoria. Please. Victoria. There are no means by which you could touch a void serpent, without your atoms being scattered across multiple planes of existence. Okay, but hear me out. What if I really, really wanted to? I made a sound that my translator rendered as exasperated sighing. In reality, it was more of a hiss combined with clicking my mandibles together, but the sentiment was the same. The answer is no. Hard no. Absolute no. No in every language known to the Galactic Federation. We continued the tour. Each enclosure, I provided detailed information about the specimen's lethality, its threat rating, its unique evolutionary adaptations designed specifically for killing things. And after each explanation, without fail, Victoria asked if she could pet it, the plasma bear. Can I pet it? The crystalline horror. Can I pet it? The thing we called Specimen 27, because its name could not be pronounced without 3 mouths and existed primarily as living radiation. Can I? Okay, I know you're going to say no, but can I at least stand near it? It would give you cancer. Immediately. All the cancers. Simultaneously. Right? Bad idea. Got it. By the time we reached the 20th enclosure, I was seriously reconsidering my career choices. Perhaps I should have become an accountant like my parent clutch mate suggested. Nice, quiet work. No humans asking to pet things that could end worlds, but then we reached the apex wing. This is where we house our 10 most dangerous specimens. The things that make the other 47 apex predators look like harmless larvae. Each one is behind not just quantum barriers, but temporal locks, dimensional anchors, and in some cases, isolated pocket realities. I should have ended the tour there. Should have made up some excuse about restricted access, or security protocols. But I was, I admit, curious. Morbidly curious. I wanted to see how far this human's bizarre compulsion would go when faced with something truly horrifying. We stopped at the largest enclosure. Inside was what appeared to be empty space. Just darkness. Nothing visible except for the faint shimmer of the containment field. This, I said slowly, is our most dangerous specimen. We call it the Hunger. It comes from a dead universe. A place where entropy won absolute victory and consumed everything. This creature is the last thing that survived. It ate its entire reality. We keep it in a compressed spatial fold because if it were released into normal space, it would begin consuming this universe at an exponential rate. Conservative estimates give it 48 hours to devour our entire galaxy. Victoria stared into the darkness for a long moment. I waited. Surely even a human would recognize that some things are beyond the realm of petable. So, she said finally. Here's what I'm thinking. No. You didn't let me finish. You were going to ask if you could pet it. I was going to ask if you had a really, really long stick. I felt something snap inside my brain. Not literally. At least, I do not think literally. But there was definitely a sensation of mental structural failure. Why? Why would you want a long stick? To pet it from a safe distance. Obviously. There is no safe distance from the Hunger. My shouting activated the facility's alarm systems. Lights began flashing. Automated announcements started playing. Attention. Emotional distress detected in Curator Krell. Initiating wellness check protocols. I am fine. I shouted at the ceiling. Cancel wellness check. Authorization Krell Delta 79. The alarm silenced. Victoria was looking at me with what appeared to be genuine concern. Are you okay? I didn't mean to stress you out. I just really like animals. These are not animals. They are apocalyptic threats given physical form. But they are still living creatures, right? They deserve affection and care. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. She was not wrong. But she was also not right. She existed in some bizarre middle ground where technically correct met functionally insane. Miss Victoria. Help me understand. On your homeworld, Earth. Do you have dangerous creatures? Oh sure. Tons. And do humans attempt to pet these dangerous creatures? All the time. There's this whole thing with people trying to pet wild animals. Bison in national parks. Bears. Alligators. Someone tried to pet a moose once. That didn't end well. And yet you persist in this behavior. Well, yeah. I mean, Have you seen how fluffy some dangerous animals are? It's almost like nature is daring us. I rubbed my face with both hands. Or rather, I made the gesture that serves the same purpose for my species. Let me tell you something about humans that the rest of the galaxy has learned. You are what we call a Deathworld species. Your planet is a nightmare of predators, toxic substances, dangerous weather, and organisms that have evolved specifically to cause pain. And somehow, your species looked at all that and decided to domesticate it. Wolves became dogs. Murder cats became house cats. You drink poison for fun and call it alcohol. You eat food so spicy it causes chemical burns and consider it entertainment. Victoria grinned. That teeth-baring thing again. We're a pretty hardy bunch, yeah. Hardy. Hardy. You colonized Australia. Do you know what the Galactic Ecological Survey said about Australia? They classified it as a forbidden death zone. And you turned it into a tourist destination. To be fair, most of the tourists survive. Most. The alarms went off again, after I managed to calm down for the second time, disable the wellness protocols again, and explain to my assistant Ven that no, I had not suffered a psychological break. I needed to recalibrate my approach. Clearly, direct prohibition was not working with this human. Victoria Moss had the determination of a Borrelian tunneler, and the self-preservation instincts of a suicidal lemming. Wait. Do lemmings actually do that? I made a mental note to research Earth fauna later. If I survived this tour. Okay, I said, forcing my scales back to a neutral green. Let me try a different approach. Why do you want to pet these creatures? What is the actual purpose? Victoria tilted her head, considering the question seriously. Have you ever felt a connection with another living being? That moment where you touch something alive and feel its warmth, its heartbeat, its existence. It is like confirming that you are both part of the same universe. The same story. I study xenobiology because I want to understand life in all its forms. And sometimes, understanding means reaching out. Literally. I blinked. All 3 sets of eyelids, in sequence. That was surprisingly philosophical. And uncomfortably reasonable. Damn these humans and their ability to make insanity sound profound. I appreciate the sentiment, I said carefully. But understanding does not require physical contact with things that will immediately kill you. Doesn't it though? She leaned against the railing, staring into the darkness where the hunger waited. Every species we have met in the galaxy has told us about your protocol. Observe from a distance. Study through instruments. Never interact. But that is not how humans learned about our world. We touched everything. We grabbed venomous snakes to study them. We dove into oceans with sharks. We climbed mountains and descended into caves and pushed boundaries, because that is what we do. And yes, a lot of us died doing it. But we learned. We grew. We understood. There is a difference between calculated risk and suicide. Is there? She turned to look at me. What if I told you that I have been bitten by 17 different venomous species on Earth? Stung by things that should have killed me. Attacked by predators that outweighed me by hundreds of pounds. And I am still here. Because I learned. I adapted. I respected the danger, but did not let it stop me from trying to connect. That does not make you invincible. It makes you lucky. Maybe. Or maybe it makes me qualified to try something nobody else has attempted. I felt a headache forming. Do I get headaches? I do now, apparently. This human was giving me unprecedented medical conditions. What exactly are you proposing? Victoria pulled out a datapad from her pocket. I have been authorized by the Terran Xenobiological Research Division to attempt contact protocols with selected specimens. Under controlled conditions. With full safety measures. And only with your permission and cooperation. Absolutely not. We are prepared to offer significant funding to your facility. My principles are not for sale. Enough funding to expand your conservation efforts to 15 new species currently on the critically endangered list. I paused. 15 species. That was significant. That could save hundreds of thousands of lives. Entire ecosystems. But at what cost? The paperwork alone, if this human got herself killed, would take cycles to process. What species are you targeting? I asked, against my better judgment. She scrolled through her datapad. Well, ideally. All of them eventually. But for initial contact, I was thinking we could start small. Maybe the Drakken Mauler. It is the closest thing to Earth megafauna in terms of biological structure. Warm-blooded. Maternal instincts based on your files. It even has those adorable ear tufts. Those ear tufts can detect heartbeats from 300 meters away, so it can hunt more efficiently. But they are fluffy. Being fluffy does not negate lethality. Victoria smiled again. That infuriating, terrifying, somehow endearing expression. Curator Krell. I am going to be honest with you. I am going to attempt contact with one of these creatures, whether you help me or not. The question is whether you want that to happen under controlled conditions with proper safety protocols, or whether you want to find out about it when your security systems detect a human-shaped energy signature inside a containment field. That is extortion. That is resourcefulness. There is a difference. I made several sounds that my translator gave up trying to interpret. You are insane. Your entire species is insane. This is why half the Galactic Council wanted to quarantine your entire star system when you were discovered. And yet here we are. Members in good standing. Contributing to galactic society. She leaned forward. Look, I get it. You are scared. You should be scared. These creatures are dangerous. But fear without understanding is just ignorance with anxiety. Let me try. Worst case scenario, I die horribly and you get to say you told me so. That is not the consolation you think it is. Best case scenario, we establish communication protocols that could revolutionize how we approach apex predator conservation across the galaxy. Think about it. What if these creatures are not just mindless killers? What if they have complex social structures, emotional needs, behavioral patterns we have never observed because nobody has been willing to get close enough? She was making sense. I hated that she was making sense. But there was logic buried beneath the madness. We had been studying these creatures from a distance for decades. Centuries, in some cases. And yes, we had learned much. But perhaps we had also missed something by never attempting direct interaction, or perhaps I was just so exhausted that her insanity was starting to sound reasonable. That was also a possibility. If, I said slowly. And this is a very conditional if. If I were to consider allowing this. There would be conditions. Many, many conditions. Victoria straightened up, her eyes bright with excitement. Name them. First. We start with the least dangerous specimen. Not the Drakken Mauler. Not the hunger. Something with a lower threat rating. Agreed. Second. Full protective gear. Shields, armor, whatever your species has developed. I will not have your death on my conscience. We have some pretty good stuff. Nanofiber weave armor. Personal shield generators. Neural dampeners. The works. Third. I am personally supervising every second of this interaction. At the first sign of aggression from the creature, we shut it down. Fair enough. Fourth. You sign approximately 70,000 liability waivers. I have lawyers for that. And finally. You explain to me, truthfully, why you are really doing this. Because I do not believe this is just about scientific curiosity anymore. Victoria was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice had lost some of that manic energy. She sounded almost vulnerable. When I was 7 years old, I got lost in the woods near my home. I was terrified. Cold. Alone. And then I found this injured wolf. Huge thing. Could have killed me easily. But it was hurt, trapped under a fallen tree. And I saw the fear in its eyes. The same fear I felt. So I helped it. Spent hours digging it out. And when it was free, instead of attacking me, it led me back to the trail. Back to safety. That wolf taught me something. That connection transcends danger. That sometimes, reaching out is the only way to truly understand. I felt something shift in my opinion of this human. She was still absolutely insane. But there was purpose behind the insanity. A kind of brave stupidity that was almost admirable. You realize that your wolf was likely too injured to view you as prey, and helping it was simple pack bonding instinct. Sure. Or maybe it was magic. I choose to believe in the magic. You are impossible. I have been told that before. Usually right, before I succeed at something everyone said was impossible. Against every instinct, every regulation, every ounce of common sense I possessed, I found myself nodding. Okay. We will try this. Once. With the Thornback crawler. It is category 4 instead of category 7. Still dangerous, but less likely to cause immediate death. It has a relatively simple neural structure, so if your contact theory has any merit, that is where we will see it. Victoria actually jumped in excitement. A literal jump. Her feet left the ground. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You will not regret this. I already regret this. I regretted this the moment you asked about petting the first creature. But apparently, I am also insane. It is contagious. The good news is the side effects include discovering amazing things about the universe. The next several hours were a blur of preparation. Victoria's team arrived with equipment I had never seen before. Adaptive armor that could shift density based on threat detection. Pheromone synthesizers that could theoretically communicate with carbon-based life forms on a chemical level. Neural interface bands that would let us monitor her brain activity in real time. If you start experiencing fear beyond normal parameters, we pull you out immediately, I explained as technicians fitted her with the gear. Define normal parameters for attempting to pet an apex predator. You know what I mean. The Thornback crawler's enclosure was prepared. We adjusted the quantum barriers to allow a small access corridor. Just large enough for Victoria to enter, heavily shielded on all sides, with 6 emergency extraction protocols ready to activate at a microsecond's notice. I had 47 scientists monitoring every conceivable variable. Heart rate. Pheromone levels. Electromagnetic fluctuations. Quantum probability fields. If anything went wrong, we would know before it fully went wrong, probably. Hopefully. I was going to need so much therapy after this. Victoria stood at the entrance to the corridor, fully suited up. She looked at me through the transparent faceplate of her helmet. Wish me luck. I wish you survival. Luck seems inadequate for what you are about to attempt. She laughed. Actually laughed. Then she stepped into the corridor. The Thornback crawler became aware of her presence immediately. It was a massive arthropod, roughly the size of a small transport vehicle, with a segmented exoskeleton covered in poisonous spines. Its multiple eyes tracked Victoria as she slowly approached, moving in that careful way she had described. Confident but respectful. Easy there, big one, she murmured. Her helmet transmitted the sound, and our systems translated it into frequencies the crawler might recognize as non-threatening. Nobody is going to hurt you. I just want to say hello. The crawler clicked its mandibles. A warning display. Victoria stopped moving, holding perfectly still. Seconds passed. Then minutes. I watched the biometric data. Victoria's heart rate was elevated but steady. The crawler's chemical signatures showed confusion more than aggression. Then Victoria did something that made every scientist in the observation room gasp. She removed one glove. What are you doing? I shouted through the communication system. Building trust, she replied calmly. It needs to smell me. Really smell me. Not through filters and armor. Just me. She extended her bare hand slowly. The crawler moved closer, its antennae waving, processing the new information. Victoria remained motionless. Vulnerable. Insane, the crawler touched her hand with one antenna. Then another. Then it made a sound we had never heard before. A soft chirping noise. And it lowered its head. Victoria, very gently, very carefully, placed her hand on the creature's carapace. Right between what I supposed were its eyes. And she smiled. Hello there, she whispered. Aren't you magnificent? The Thornback crawler, apex predator, category 4 threat, responsible for the extinction of 2 species on its homeworld, leaned into her touch. I stood there, my scales cycling through every color, in rapid succession, watching a human pet something that should have killed her. And all I could think was that humans were either the bravest species in the galaxy, or the dumbest, possibly both, definitely both. Curator Krell. Victoria's voice came through the comm. I think it likes me. Can I try the Drakken Mauler next? I made a noise that probably translated as hysterical laughter mixed with existential despair. It was going to be a very long career. But maybe, just maybe, these insane humans were going to teach us something after all, even if it killed me. Which it probably would. Eventually.